Hello and welcome to User Spotlights. I'm Laura with ClickFunnels, and today I'm speaking with Tyson Durfey. Tyson is a world champion rodeo athlete, a speaker, performance coach, and an entrepreneur. He owns several successful businesses and has dedicated his life to helping others live life on their own terms. Welcome, Tyson. Thanks for joining me.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Awesome. So, to get started, I know you have a very unique story to tell. Tell us a little bit about your background and what led you here today.
I was just a kid in the Midwest, grew up on a really, really small farm. Of what a lot of people probably could never relate with is that, like, my family, when they moved into the farm, actually moved into a barn. And my dad and my brother and my mom, and while pregnant with me, that's where they moved into that farm. They had their start. And pretty much anybody knows that if you grew up in a farm, like, life is hard. Um, 18-hour days, sometimes 20-hour days, sometimes no sleep. If you're calving, you're taking care of animals, and pretty much your livelihood depends on your animals living or dying. And so that's kind of what I grew up in, was that farming background, the ranching background, the horseback background. Being a digital entrepreneur or entrepreneur at all, like, was nowhere to be found for me.
Wow. So, at what point in your life did you decide I actually want to be a business person? Like, did that thought occur to you when you were younger? Like,
Yeah.
obviously with your background, you understand the struggle of hard work and having to do so much for yourself. What led you to wanting to be a business person?
I had my first taste of, like, well, if I guess we were go all the way back, like, one of my dad's things would always be like, do you know how much that cost? I'd be like, Dad, why don't we get a new tractor instead of this one that's like 70 years old? And he would always be like, do you know how much that cost? Like, having money was like this big, gigantic thing that we could never have. And so instead of, like, believing that we could never have it, it put this question in my head. How can I have money? How can I create, income for myself? So I got, like, really obsessed with it. Like, anytime we would go to, like, rodeo events, because that's it in my family, that's what we did. My dad was a trainer for some of the other athletes and the horses particularly. So we would go to rodeos, and instead of, like, going and playing with the other kids all the time, what I would do is I would go collect every glass beer bottle. I would collect every tin can, and I would throw them in these trash bags. I'm throwing in the back of our truck. And I remember the first time I took all my, like, glass and aluminum cans to the recycling place, I got like $84. And I was just like, I can do anything. Like, $84, I have all this freedom. And so I was always looking for a way to, like, get ahead, because, like, from 12 on, I paid for all my own clothes. From 14 on, I lived by myself. There was no parents waking me up in the morning. There was no, hey, did you do your homework? Like, I was pretty much on my own at that point. And so I just learned early on that money in business equivocated to independence, which allowed me to do what I wanted to do. And ever since then, even before I could say I was an entrepreneur that had employees and businesses, I was always that solopreneur. Like, how can I take what I have, utilize what I have, and earn a great income from that? Even going all the way back to, like, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, I've always had that.
I love that. You didn't let your surroundings and what you were raised with kind of pigeonhole you to something. You kind of rose above, challenged yourself, and did something about it. So, being where you were from and how you were raised and the people you were surrounded with, what did they think when you started doing those things? Was there, like, a judgment?
No, it never was a judgment. You could see some families, like, the one person made it and got financially free, and the rest of them are like, trying to drag them down, almost like the crabs in a bucket analogy that a lot of people have to deal with, whether it's their family or other people in the neighborhood. I never had that. My dad, my brothers, they believe in me. They're happy for me. There is never any resentment or jealousy or anything like that. And I think my dad is just like, he's a very hard individual. My dad was raised by a World War II veteran who was on the first wave Normandy Beach D-Day. He's original frogman, and, like, those guys, 113 swimmers hit the beach that day, 11 made it out alive. So it's over a 90% death rate. That guy raised my dad. So my dad was very, very, very hard. And I just had that in me that I was like, and I don't mean it, this is not bad, but my dad motivated me so much by negativity. So he's like, if you're not going to make it, you can't do that. You're not tough enough, right? And that was just his way of saying, you can do that. You can go get it. And so I almost perverted it in my brain where I was like, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him I can make money. I'm going to show him I could be a world champion. I'm going to show him. And as I got through like my teenage years, our relationship was really bad. Like, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, like having rough relationship with your parents, because I didn't understand that he actually wanted the best for me. I just thought he was trying to beat me up all the time. As I got older and I started having my own kids, I'm like, whoa, that's just the vocabulary my dad had. And that's what he chose to use because that was what was passed down to him from his father. And so I began to like look at these things, and I've always been really good at like looking at the past and then projecting what I want in the future and then creating some sort of plan or strategy to get there. And I can honestly tell you, like, without that upbringing that I had, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I responded very well to, the negativity because I just somehow made a choice that I wasn't going to allow it to hold me back. Now, I will say this. My brothers, my dad, they were never like, they may have said something like, you're not going to make it, but they didn't mean that. They were never like trying to drag me down. When I was battling for, world championships years after years after years and failing, I've had a chance to win a world championship 5 times and I've only done it once. It's a lot of failure. They would be the first one to be like, man, you got it next year. Next year is going to be your year. So it was kind of this weird mix, but I was just determined to break the mold.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I love that. So tell me a little bit about, so you're a performance coach.
Okay.
When did you decide that coaching was for you? Like, did you have any specific moment in your career where you were like, maybe I'm onto something by inspiring others?
Yeah. So when I was coming up as an athlete, part of our business model was having what we call in the ClickFunnels world, like live events. We would do what's called roping clinics where like 30, 40, 50 people would come and learn how to be cowboys. They would learn how to ride a horse, learn how to rope, and do all this stuff. Well, I was an instructor at like 12 years old for these people. So I would be instructing sometimes like 35, 40-year-old men, like, no, that's not how you swing a rope. And they would always kind of like laugh at me because they're like, you're a 12-year-old kid. How are you, instructing me? But I was just born into it. I mean, I just did it. And I didn't realize it then, but I was learning how to coach at 12 years old. I was learning how to, understand how people learn at 13 years old. I was learning all this groundwork back then. At this point, I've coached over 2,000 people, either in my groups or one-on-one. And so I began to read what people really want very, very quickly. As I got into the world of business, I'm like, wait a second, like all of these skills I learned as teaching people how to ride and rope, like they apply to real life. They apply to mindset. They apply to, personal growth. They apply to giving people confidence and all this. So I'm like, why don't I just use what God gave me and turn it into a performance coaching business? And so that's kind of where it all came from, was my ability, number one, to utilize what I learned as a young man, but then knowing that I just want to help and add value to other people. And for those listeners that were at Funnel High and Live, they know that I broke into a house because I thought real estate was going to be like my big thing. And I was 16. I couldn't get a realtor to return my call. And I stumbled onto a cassette book by Tony Robbins. And it's like a mixture of like the teaching all the old guys how to rope when I was a kid, and then stumbling onto this cassette book by breaking into a house and stealing it and getting introduced to Tony Robbins, and then somehow stumbling onto Russell Brunson because he retargeted the heck out of me. It's like brought it all together for me once I found ClickFunnels, once I found Russell Brunson, once I found this whole world, to be honest with you.
Love that. So speaking of, tell me a little bit about why ClickFunnels.
Yeah. So in probably 2018, 2019, I just feel like a massive shift coming in my career. I knew that, at this point, I'm probably 35, 36 years old. And I'm like, hey, I can't be an athlete forever. And my wife and I had already started a couple other businesses, and they were doing well. But I was like, I'm not going to be an athlete forever, and I got to figure out how to do it. And I was getting up at 4:00 every morning because that was the only time I had to do it. And I would come to my office, this office right here, and I was researching like how to make money, as an athlete. And I stumbled onto this guy named Gary Vee, which is insane because he messaged me the other day and was like, keep going, brother. And it was just like, it was so heartwarming for me. I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So I had a quick little message exchange, but I was watching Gary Vee, and he looked at, like, he was doing one of the deals where he's speaking to the whole audience. He pointed out the camera, it's the internet, like that. And then he said a cuss word, right? That's Gary fashion. It's the internet. And I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how to take, being a cowboy and figure out how to make money with it online, which at this time is like almost never been done, right? And so I start researching make money online, like a lot of us have as funnel hackers, right? And this guy named Russell Brunson targets me. I think it's when he launched his book, Expert Secrets. And he targets, and I see the first ad. I'm like, man, he looks like he's 12. He doesn't know anything. Click. I scroll off of it. I don't click on it. I'm like there for a few seconds. And then he retargets me, and I'm like, man, this guy's pretty smart. And then he retargets me again. Finally, after like the third or fourth retarget, I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy the book. And so I buy the book, and it sends it. I dissect it. I'll break it all down. Then I got .com secrets. And then after that, I got traffic secrets. And then, as only Russell Brunson could do, I bought all three of those books numerous times to give to people. Plus, he sold me the trilogy, which I think is right. Where's the trilogy? Where's my trilogy? It's back there on the shelf somewhere. But he sold me the same books over and over and over again. But I've really broke them down. I've really dissected them. And it's really changed my life.
Wow. And he has a way of doing that.
Yeah, he does. But you know what I love about it's not, and this is Russell's cool. I've gotten to know Russell pretty well. And I love Colette. I think I like Colette probably more than Russell, by the way. But it's unbelievable the community that he's been able to build.
Yeah.
Like, you go to Funnel Hacking Live, and I would highly encourage anybody that sees this or listens to this, if you haven't gone to Funnel Hacking Live, you need to go. If you're trying to make that next step, go to Funnel Hacking Live, because the energy and the support and the freaking networking that you get out of that event is insane. With one of our businesses, we've done millions and millions and millions of revenue off of one person that I met at Funnel Hacking Live. So if you haven't gone, you need to go.
I agree. The energy is contagious. You leave feeling, you'd think that you'd feel exhausted because it's such a crazy full week of high energy, everything, long days. There's so much happening. And I mean, physically, my body was ready to shut down. Emotionally and psychologically, I was so pumped up. Like, you get home and like you physically feel like you need to rest, but you can't. You're just too excited to start and grow and do so many things that you took away from the event. And it's just, you want to take action, and it's really fun. Yeah. So you have an interesting background in the type of athlete that you are, and I imagine it's very intense. I don't know. Personally, I don't know much about rodeoing, but I have to know, what is scarier, rodeoing or starting a business?
Oh, man. There are so many correlations between being an athlete and being a business owner. It's incredible. It's like, to me, being an entrepreneur is scarier because people who depend on you depend on feeding their family based on your actions. And as an athlete, if I don't perform, it's me and my family. If you're an entrepreneur and you don't perform, it's you, your family, and the people that depend on you. It's their family too. So at night, as our team continues to grow, which is growing very rapidly, that weighs on me as an entrepreneur. Like, hey, I need to get up and make things happen today because Courtney has 2 kids, because Kara's got a daughter that's getting her driver's license, because Micah's got a son. Like, these things, like, they weigh on me. So I'm going to go with being an entrepreneur is probably more scary than being, like, I've competed in front of presidents, in front of 80,000 people, And that's great. And it's hard, trust me. But being an entrepreneur and actually showing up every day, bringing your A game, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Wow, that's really powerful and a really vulnerable thing to share. So that brings up so many different thoughts that I'm having, and one of them being that, and Russell shares this a lot with his, I think the genuineness and the generosity of him wanting to share and being called to serve. Almost, as a business person for you, does it make you feel like you have something in you that it's impossible for you to not share?
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I've never not been a personal brand, right? So as I'm transitioning out of the sport of rodeo, I mean, I'm going to be 40 this year. I won't be a professional athlete forever. I had to make a decision. It's like, do I just go into business and have a brand that's a business, or do I promote Tyson, the Cowboy in pink, and turn that into a business of motivating and inspiring people? And I spent a lot of time in prayer about this, because I'm like, what do I do? And even if you have a faith, you got to spend some quiet time and really dissect what you want to do. And this thing popped in my head as it was like, it would be a tragedy if I didn't use my story to try to help other people, because it's almost impossible to take a business only branded as a business without the attractive character and change somebody's life with it, because people relate to people in the honesty and integrity that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I decided to go more so with personal brand, because people can relate to me. Tyson was broke. Tyson was sleeping in the backseat of his truck. Tyson didn't have anything, and now he's got something. Now he's starting to have some success. Well, if Tyson did it, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
That's what I want people to see. And I will honestly tell you, I have bad days. I have days where I don't want to show up and bring my A game. I have days where I'm tired. Don't think that just because I spoke on Funnel Hacking Live stage that I'm invincible or I'm perfect. I am no better than anybody else that happens to be watching this. It's just that I refuse to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I have a relentless drive that just will not allow me to give up. And I think that's really all people need. And I think it's hard to do that if they are trying to just promote their business. They need to be vulnerable and tell their actual raw, real stories to get that done.
That's really inspiring. And I got that just from your presence at Funnel Hacking Live. I'm getting it from you now. You have this very genuine approach to you, but also you touched on attractive character, which is something Russell talks a lot about. And you definitely have your signature style. I mean, you stuck out like a sore thumb among these people that were wearing dark colors or their ClickFunnels gear and their hats and their backpacks. And you're walking in with this bright pink shirt and a cowboy hat. And I, myself included, and so many people around me were like, I want to know that guy's story. And I think that there's a lot, it's bold, but it's also exactly who you are. And I think that there's something to be said about that. And it's really cool to learn that that's your personal brand.
But the funny thing about it is it was completely by accident. I want to tell everybody a little bit of story. Like, I know we think about impressions, we think about likes, we think about comments, we think about click-through rate, we think about all of these things, right? Our ad spend, blah, 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 all this stuff that us as digital marketers think about. But at the end of the day, if you have your personal brand and you come wanting and needing to serve your audience, all of that stuff almost goes away to a certain extent. It's still going to be there. It's a business metric. I get it. I started wearing the pink shirt to lift up the spirits of my stepmother, who had found 2 grapefruit-sized tumors in her body. It's the only reason I started wearing it. I didn't want to draw personal attention to myself, but I did it for her to lift her spirits. And I was only going to do it at the national finals, which is our Super Bowl. One time, that was it. I donated some money to charity, doing it for her. I lifted her spirits. That's great. They did the surgery, got the tumors out. They were benign, which meant they didn't have any cancer. I was thankful, lifted her spirits, made her feel good. My calling was done. I thought, well, so many people started coming up to me. You helped my mother. You helped my sister. You helped my aunt. And I was like, and I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm like, okay, God. And actually, I didn't say that because I wasn't saved. Had no faith back then. I just thought the universe. I'm like, I just want to do good, right? I was just like, okay, this must be a sign that I'm called to do this for something bigger than myself. So I did that. But since then, being the cowboy in pink, it branded me.
Sure.
People know me now. I stand out. I got 10 times the media coverage as any other cowboys because I was the cowboy in pink. I'm telling people this, that sometimes if you just serve with a giving heart as good as you possibly can, the rewards just come back without having to say, I got to spend $10,000 this month to get this back. Maybe you just got to come with like such a giving hand and try to serve so hard that people feel compelled to be attracted to you.
Wow. Speaking of goosebumps, I literally got goosebumps from that. And what a testament to actually living out your purpose and having that moment where it's like, this is what I meant to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was hard for me because I was very much a macho man prior to wearing, the pink shirt. Like if anybody follows me, like I do military hell weeks and I like doing manly things still, but it was a good mix. I was very much a prideful, whatever kind of guy back then, but it definitely humbled me. And
Sure.
I think that sometimes we just need to go back to basics.
Yeah.
And stay hooked, stay in the journey. Because I didn't try to force the man in pink. It just kind of happened. And I think we just need to get back to that as a society, to be honest with you.
It's a beautiful story. And now so much meaning behind who you are and what you do. And hopefully everybody takes a little bit of that with them when they learn about you. Okay. You got me feeling a little bit emotional. So let's get a little bit technical. What about ClickFunnels has helped you in terms of your business? Like what type of funnel has been the most impactful?
Yeah. So basically I have two funnels. I have one funnel that is a continuity program funnel. I absolutely love it. So the first 2 years of that funnel, I had one product, one price point, no order bumps, no upsells, no nothing. And it was a $37 offer that got people into continuity. It basically taught people how to throw a rope, which is what I've been doing since I was 12. To date, I've had about 1,500 people through that funnel. I have not run an ad or marketed it at all, 0 in 2 years. And it just keeps paying me like a slot machine every single month. It's a huge portion of my business model. I spent a year and a half really putting it together, dialing it in. And if anybody wants to see it, it's no limits mentorship.com. Or what is it? What is that funnel? Oh my goodness. Our roping lessons, or you can go to ropingless.com. It's a redirect to there.
Right.
But I spent a lot of time really breaking it down. We needed good testimonials. We needed good video. We needed, just all the things, a great stack, all the stuff that we needed. But the thing was, after I almost did what Russell preached last Funnel Hacking Live, is like, if you don't have continuity, you don't have a business. Well, I spent 3 years building continuity, but I'd never offered anything other than a $37 thing. And so I was probably like a lot of people out there. I was like, golly, at $37 a pop, it sure takes a long time to get to the 2 Comma Club award. Right? Okay. I'm going to actually do opposite of what Russell is like telling everybody to do now. I need something that has like higher ticket offer. Then I developed a mental toughness masterclass for individuals who want to be mentally tough, like a cowboy. You get up and you get the job done no matter what. And that's a one-time purchase thing. Again, it's got no order bumps. It's not got anything else on it that it needs to have. But I launched that and we've been crushing it with that. That's where all my ad spend's been. We're like at the beginning, we're like at a 9 times ad spend on return. And we've leveled up at about a 4.5 ROAS on ad spend. So it's been really good. But so I basically have 2 funnels. That's it. One is continuity and one is just selling my mental toughness masterclass. And I'm now starting to put together my value ladder after 3.5 or 4 years as a funnel hacker. I'm starting to put together that value ladder where there's a mental toughness challenge. I think I'm going to call it the Cowboy App Challenge. So
love that.
The Cowboy App Challenge, teaching people how to be mentally tough, be an 11-day thing. And then that will lead them to the mental toughness masterclass, which then will lead them into continuity. So that's kind of
That's amazing. And even with your continuity program, it's like, you know, if you spend a year and a half working really hard on it, in the end, like it ends up working for you. And even if it's not making you, you know, the 2 Comma Club award, it's still something that you can find pride in. And for a lot of people, that is more than what they would expect from, you know, putting a year's worth of work into a funnel. So there's a lot to be said about, you know, a $37 offer that is continually working for you when you can set it and you let it just do its thing.
Well, and that's the thing. If your thing is great, if your thing is good, you get sales still coming in without having to advertise.
Yeah.
I don't market it at all. 0. I don't send emails. I don't send text messages. I don't do online ads. And, you know, we still get people buying it. So I'm like, oh, this is great. If I just do a really good job, then people will continue to talk about it and buy it. And so anybody that's starting out like that continuity thing, like just front end load it, like just serve at a high level. And people, if you can make an impact on their life, the business model could work without even running ads, right? And then you just do everything that Russell says. On top of that, it will just put the icing on the cake for you.
Yeah. Amazing. What would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody who is considering starting a business or, you know, creating their first funnel, or maybe they're an athlete and they're like,
yeah,
no, I just started thinking that maybe this isn't something I can do forever. Where do I go from here?
Number one thing is you have to evaluate your skill set. What do I love? And what am I great at? Like we talk about in coaching is like establish the low-hanging fruit and then go after that first, right? Go narrow but go very deep. Right? Mm-hmm. If you are an expert at anything, it could be copywriting, it could be website building, it could be search engine optimization, it could be being a freaking athlete. I don't know. Like go to your audience, put together, you know, a continuity program, serve like crazy on the front end, right? But by no means, when I mean serve like crazy, it doesn't mean one-on-one time like crazy. It means one to many. Put your best trainings first. Whatever you think you can make the massive shift, like with these people, give them all that first at the low ticket continuity, right? And then build your value ladder out from there. But always evaluate your skill set first. You need, to be honest with you, if you're trying to be in the expert economy somewhat, and you're not good at something, spend time and develop your skill set first, and then get into it. If you don't do that, people are going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, we're going to bounce in a month. My customers stay with me 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. I've got some customers, like a bulk of them have been with me for like 3.5 years, right? And so if you're not an expert on the front end, you can have other things that make money. Like literally, you can sell products. You know, you could reach out to influencers and have them sell products. You could do dropship. You could do a bazillion different things. But if you really are an expert and you're called to serve, like get the continuity program going now, because like Russell says, like it is the foundation of the business, right? What I'm doing now with the team I'm doing now, I wouldn't be able to do it had I not had that consistent continuity revenue coming in, and then you could build out. The only other way to do it is if you're amazing, go high ticket first. Like go high ticket, create an offer that's 10 to 25,000. If you are an authority and you have a massive audience, go high ticket first. Mm-hmm. Don't, and then build the continuity in behind it.
Yeah.
There's 2 ways to do everything, but number 1, understand the skill set, and then serve like crazy. Like do everything you can to get results for people.
Yeah, that's super helpful advice. And I think it's really actionable. A lot of people can start to actually take a look at what they've done, where they've been, the things that they've learned along the way, and where they can offer value. And I think that that's something that somebody can actually start taking action on now. It's amazing.
I want to throw one more thing in here real quick. I built out my whole entire continuity program with 0 funnel, with 0 place to land the teachings or the trainings. I literally just went to my social media. I was like, hey, if I could teach you everything I know about roping, would you pay me $37 a month? And I had like people responding yes. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to process these payments. And then instead of like complicating everything, saying, oh, I got to have the funnel done, it's got to be perfect, and I've got to have all my membership site done, it's got to be perfect. I just went into a Facebook group. I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to deliver massive value. I'm going to give you one training every month in the Facebook group. And I was making like $6,000-7,000 a month.
You just started taking orders.
Yeah, like, and then I didn't worry about anything else. I just went to the Facebook group. When they paid me, I just went in and added them into the group. And then later on, I built the membership. And later on, I built, their library, the vault, as Russell likes to call it. I built all that stuff later after I was already making money. So don't complicate it, guys. Just sell and then offer massive value. Get your deliverable could be simple in the beginning, like a Facebook group. And then from there, build out continuity as more money rolls in.
Yeah. And that's a great lesson in accountability. If you can sell it and you've sold it to somebody, obviously now you're being held to create it. So you're only going to keep getting better. That's great. Love that. Done is always better than perfect. So Tyson, before we go, tell us where we can learn more about you and your business.
I've really been diving in on YouTube, talking a lot, always before I've been the personal, like I was the rodeo guy, and I've done that for 20 some years. And I talk a lot about performance, mindset, peak performance. I've been doing a whole series on how to grow your wealth, how to grow your income, how I've grown my wealth and income on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all these places. It's all at Tyson Durfey. And I answer every single message that comes in for the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers I do. I answer every single one of them. So if you need anything, anybody needs anything, hit me up, shoot me a message. I'd be glad to help.
So personable. Wow. Love that. And hopefully we can be on the lookout for a Cowboy Up challenge in the future.
Yeah, there we go. I love it.
Amazing. And will we see you at Funnel Hacking Live this year?
Yes, I'm one of the crazy fans who like runs to the back of the room and gets the ticket, right as they put it out there. So yeah, I already got the ticket bought.
Amazing. Well, we look forward to seeing you there, Tyson, and thanks again for being here.
Outstanding. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.